We are live. We are live. And thank you so much to everyone who is tuning in right now. As you can see, I have another special guest with me on this fine Friday night. And Elle, do you want to introduce yourself to the lovely viewers at home?
Hello, I'm ELLE McNICOll. I'm the author of A Kind of Spark, which is my debut novel, and I'm so excited to be here.
Yay. And what are you drinking?
I'm drinking I'm drinking Pepsi Max, but it's in a cute little mermaid.
I
Like,
love that.
there's glitter and it says flippin' awesome, and it's not the most exciting beverage, but it's in a great cup.
No, that is flipping awesome, though, to be fair. I love that. You've put me to shame. I've just got this weird sort of reusable ice cube thing in mine, and it just looks wrong. But this is a peach snap and lemonade. So
Chin chin, cheers.
chin chin, class act. Oh yeah, and cheers to ELLE McNICOLL for the recent success of A Kind of Spark, Waterstone's Children's Book of the Month for October, and all of the awards that it has been nominated for. So cheers to you, Elle.
Thank you.
Well, there will be more. There will be more. I promise.
Thank you.
So yes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
No.
I warn you now, there will be lots of ego inflating in this live show. So be prepared. So, just a little housekeeping for all of the live viewers. I am going to be doing CCs for this interview, like I have been for the last ones, but YouTube have changed the CCs and they've made them just a little bit harder. So it might take me a little while to adjust to it and get them up. They should be up in a week though. And yeah, we are going to try and keep to around about an hour, maybe more as usual. And if you have any questions, anybody, do let me know in the comments on the side or down below. It depends on what you're watching on. It can be either or. Leave any of your comments. I try to keep them to the end, but then I always just end up seeing them anyway. So I have no chill. But yes, I don't think I'm ignoring anyone. I probably will keep your comments and questions for the time when I'm talking about the actual sort of topic. So oh, and we also have Anna James in the chat as well. Hi, Anna. Nice to see you. Okay. Right. Okay. So my favorite part, which just as people are tuning in, and honestly, I keep getting people with these questions. However, I think the first question is the one I ask all of my authors. So, Elle, first icebreaker, are you a night owl or an early bird?
I am a permanently exhausted pigeon. No, I'm a night owl, definitely. I think I'm like wired that way. I don't think I'm wired like a morning person, and I think it's weird that we're all expected to be on the same schedule because like I work much better in the evening. I'm a horrible person in the morning, so I'm definitely a night owl. Like a horrible person, like a hideous person in the morning.
I'm sure that's not true. I would. It's not true. It's not true. You can't be horrible. Do you drink coffee and stuff? Do you have like anything that wakes you up? No.
No, that might be why. No, I wake up with like a rage, and that's what I like. No, I'm the worst morning person. So yeah, I'm a night owl, definitely, which is kind of lonely sometimes, but especially now. But that's how I'm wired.
To be fair, a lot of people's sleeping patterns have been kind of weirdly adjusted to everything that's gone on this year. So there might be more night owls than we realize. But
Yeah.
I always ask this question. I like to know when to, hit you up on the DMs, and annoy you. So I know the best time to do that now. Thank you. Do you have a comfort movie?
Comfort. Ooh, anything by Nora Ephron or Nancy Myers, who did like Father of the Bride and Parent Trap, and there's a film called Clue, which is like this 1980s comedy version of Cluedo. It's like the actual game, but they're people and they've gone to have dinner at this mansion and then they live the game. It's better than I'm making it sound, but it's very funny. It's like it's a good time. Like it's a rollicking good time. I can recommend Clue. That's a comfort movie.
I definitely need.
90s, any.
Fair. I mean, I've never seen Clue, and I've seen it around. I know, I'm shocking, but I've seen it around, and it's interested me because I love the game, and it's what I based Believe It on 3 on as well as Cluedo. I love it so much. Why have I not watched the movie?
You have to watch it with a group of people. You can't watch it on your own. And when they first came out with it in the cinema, people would vote for the ending. So they would like vote for which ending they wanted, and the cinema projectors would put on that ending. If you like Knives Out, you'll love Clue because there's lots of references in Knives Out for Clue. But it's like a group thing. Hocus Pocus, that's another one because it's now October, and I mean, my book is about 3 sisters. I love the Sanderson sisters. That film. Okay. I watched that film as a kid and I was like, why am I rooting for these people? Like, they want them to win. Like, they're so great.
Hocus Pocus is the definition of a movie where, you know, the villains are the more colourful and the almost protagonist because they are who we follow and who, I mean, I don't want obviously them to succeed, but I kind of do a little bit.
I'm a little tired of Max and Co by the end of the film, and I wouldn't mind an alternative ending. Like, I don't know. Yeah. The minute Bette Midler starts her number in the middle of the film, that's it. I'm like, I'm with them till the end. Ride or die. Sanderson.
They've put a spell on you. Yeah. They have put a spell on you.
100%. Oh, I love it.
I was actually going to say as well, if I had read kind of Spark when I was at uni, I would have loved to have done a comparison of Hocus Pocus and a kind of Spark, maybe like some kind of essay, or you know what I mean. I could still do that, you know, just in my spare time. Send it along.
For me, just send it to me, and I'll read it and love it. I mean, I think some people, when the book was announced as October, they were like, "Her? Why?" And I was like, "Well, because it's like it's set in Halloween. It's set at Halloween. It's about, you know, witches, and Hocus Pocus is about, you know, 300 years on from these witches causing problems. You know, they are different, but like there's definitely some imagery in there that's referencing a little bit of Hocus Pocus. Like,
yeah, I love it so much. Actually, it's perfect for the next question, because I was going to ask, with this being the spooky season, do you have any autumn or Halloween traditions? Like, I assume you watch Hocus Pocus every year, but do you have like anything else that you do every, like, this time of year that you always do?
So we can't do it this year, but in Scotland, what it's actually common to do is a lot of trick-or-treating now over here is done like how the Americans do it, where they just knock on the door and they get the sweets and that's it. In Scotland, at least where I grew up, you have to go inside the person's house and you have to perform in some way. So you have to tell a joke or sing a song. You have to do something or an impression. You have to perform before you earn the sweets. So like that was my childhood. It was not only getting your costume ready, it was like, what is this year's act going to be? Because last year they got Memory from Cats last year. Can't do that again. Have to get something new. So, and now as an adult, I'm like to my boyfriend who's from the East End of London and who's like quite hard as nails. I'm like, right, the kids have to come inside and they have to do something before they get like the sweets. And my boyfriend's like, are you out of your mind? Like, you're gonna get arrested. But like, that's my, like, when I eventually do move back to Scotland and go home, I'm gonna be the lady who's like on Halloween night is like the door's wide open and I'm like, come inside and sing. Or you're not
like perform.
Yes, do give me the treat and I will give you your treat. Like it's like, yeah, that's our tradition. Apart from
I love that so much though. So do you sing then? Do you like?
I mean, I like to. It's not anything to write home about, but I like to.
That has given me some fantastic ideas for next Halloween. Oh my gosh. Like, I kind of want to be the one to perform though. Yeah.
You can do a magic trick. I mean, like, I had a kid once that like she did like hand puppets and I was like, that's weak, but you know, whatever. Like, you can do whatever you want. Like, it doesn't have to match the costume. Like, you know.
Oh my gosh. Oh my cogs are turning. Can you name anything that's on your bucket list?
After the year we've had, I would I'd like to go on holiday again. No, I'm kidding. I used to live in New York, so I'd like to go back to New York. And actually, experience New York with disposable income, because I was about as poor as a person can be when I lived in New York. I lived on like dollar pizza and crashed on people's sofas. So I would like to go back with like a little bit of money, and just enjoy New York. And oh god, I'm so boring. I didn't think about this.
This is why I love this section, because I never prepare you.
Oh,
so
no. Like, I know some people will be like, I'm going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I'm like, that would kill me. The bucket list would come to a short, sharp end because I would die. I don't want to jump out a plane. I don't want like,
nothing that dangerous. So.
No, I would like to travel more. I think that's my bucket list. I'd like to go back to New York and then see a bit more of the world, I think. See my books in all the countries that have very wonderfully bought Spark. I'd like to go and see Spark in the different places.
Ooh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I like that. I don't think I could ever jump out of a plane either. That's just, oh my god, my heart, it wouldn't take it. Why? Yeah, why would you do that? I guess some people are adrenaline junkies, I guess.
Sad.
Well, since A Kind of Spark does have this kind of past element to it, with, you know, Addie kind of campaigning for these women who lost their lives hundreds of years ago, if you could go back to any year in history, what year would it be?
Oh, I would.
Not 2019.
No, it'd be worse in hindsight, knowing what's coming. You'd be like a doomsday person. You'd be like, the end of the thing, and everyone would be like, shut up. Like, it's 2020. It's gonna be the good year. It's the 20s. I'm like, yes, with the disease and money crashing. I'm trying to think, what's an answer that won't get me cancelled? I'll get in trouble. I would be interested in 1912 and the Titanic, just because I am fascinated by that history. But probably 1899 and like the Wild West. I'd love to be in the Wild West, like horseback hat, gun, like that's what
the horse, all of the cowboys
riding into town. There's a new sheriff in town. Like that's my which is probably. I mean, we know it's nothing like the cowboy movies. It would have been horribly depressing. But I mean, this year's been horribly depressing, and I feel prepared. So, like,
yeah, this has been such a lesson this year. I feel like we could travel to any year, and we would be like, yes, we can do this.
Handle this. Live through something.
Yeah. Sorry, I've got three more. Sorry, I loving these answers. What has been one of the best middle grade books that you've read this year?
Oh,
and not your own.
No, it's definitely not mine. Every author's gone out of my head. Do you know I read High Rise at the beginning of the year? High Rise Mystery by Sharna Jackson, and I love that. And I'm not a mystery fan, really. I'm not a murder mystery fan. I loved Nick and Norva and the Try, and I thought that was really great. I've just picked up, I've not started it yet, but I've picked up Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. Please don't send hate in the comments. I know I should have read it by now, but I wanted to wait until there was a few in the series because I think I knew I'd love it. So now Hollowpox is out yesterday. Now I can have the three of them, and I can have, a good session. So that's the one I'll be starting soon.
That was smart though, binge reading, because I didn't actually start Nevermore until last year. So I was really late to the game.
Than reading something you love and then it going, see you next year for the next installment. And I'm like, well, I could be dead. You don't know. It's like I like to have them all. So I know it's not all, but like I have a good set.
Chunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got enough of the world now to really sink your teeth into.
Definitely.
Oh god.
Never to return. Yes.
Same. Is there a song that best represents you, or just a favorite song in general?
Probably Rainbow Connection by Kermit the Frog. Which that's the song I want at my funeral. I don't think about a wedding song because I don't think my boyfriend is ever gonna make that move. But I think about my funeral a lot, and I think I would have Rainbow Connection. Just speaks to me. I don't know. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, bless you. I mean, I'm the opposite. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they can play whatever they want at my funeral. And my wedding, I'm having Born This Way, and I'm going to come down from the ceiling, and there's going to be sparklers, and I'm going to have this huge microphone, and I'm going to start doing like a synchronized choreography with like a few of the guests as I walk down the aisle. Oh wait, hang on. Hang on, no, that's my Isle song. It's not my wedding song. Never mind. I've been thinking about the wrong thing. So the last icebreaker is, what is the best thing that's happened to you this year? And
This,
there's most likely going to be lots. There's would have been lots.
I'm so lucky that everyone says like it must be really hard to have your debut in this year, and it is in a lot of ways, but it's also incredible because it gives you something to focus on and drive through. And I think the best thing is Waterstone's Book of the Month has been pretty incredible, but I think the readers that have reached out to me, and I know that's quite soppy, but they have been like, the way they have fought for this book is like, yeah, I mean, I'll talk more about it later because I don't want to like start crying now, but like it's been like sensational. The readers have been above and beyond.
Yeah. Oh gosh, when I say everything on Twitter, but yeah, we will talk about it later. Sorry, but yeah, I love it. I love it. You deserve it all. You deserve it all. So actually, just I see like people in the comments as well. Jen is reading the book right now. Oh, and she loves you as well.
Oh,
Oh, Clue is classic Tim Curry.
yes,
Ooh, he's in it.
Yeah, he's the butler. So he's Wadsworth the butler, and he like controls all the action. And it's like the Academy. The fact that he did not get a nomination from the Academy for his role as that butler just proves that the whole thing is a sham, because
Right.
he's outstanding.
Well, Anna, assuming you didn't ask me about my favorite comfort movie, so I didn't make us talk about Moulin Rouge for a whole hour and a half. Yeah, I've seen the love that Anna James has for Moulin Rouge. In fact, Anna looks like Nicole Kidman from Moulin Rouge anyway, so I feel like I was talking to Nicole Kidman.
I love that as well. I'm glad you didn't ask the karaoke question because that would have gone on for an hour. So.
Well, now I want to ask it. I love Addie. She likes sharks. I like sharks. That was actually a really good part of the story, which we'll also we can talk about as well. Gab person after cowboys in the middle grade stream. Isn't that always the way? And people are reading Spark for Believathon in November.
Thank you.
I'm so excited as well. ELLE McNICOLL is a featured Believathon author, so you get double points if you read a kind of Spark. So read it and you can win cash prizes. Well, book prizes really, but cash prizes as well.
It's really short. It's not, not too long. So
yeah, so you can read it twice if you want, and then you'll get 4 points. Yay! So on to and it's honestly, so for me, it's like such an honor to have you on. I absolutely love the fact that only this year I started to read contemporary middle grade books. I didn't usually like read a lot of them, and I found some of them to be like some of the most beautiful and poignant books I've ever read. Really,
they can be hard work though. Like they can be hit and miss, and I think lots of people want proper escapism, but I think it's a common misconception. You can escape into contemporary fiction, like it's
Yeah, no, that's actually true, because that's what I thought. I thought, I would only want to read fantasy and really escape the world for a bit because it's like magic and like it's not real. But with contemporary, it hits so much closer to home, and it turns out to be, definitely, genuinely some of the best literature that's out there. But before actually I move on, a comment there from Later's baby. Hi, Elle. Read Kind of Spark with my daughter Elizabeth, and we both teared up reading about Addie. It gave us so many things to discuss. She took it in for her form tutor to read too.
Yay!
Get it in the schools. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. That's amazing to hear. I love hearing when people read it together. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. It's like I'm trying to set you off. I'm sorry. Right. Okay. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about you, because I feel like a lot of people would love to know more about the author behind Kind of Spark. So one of the first questions I've asked, and you've most likely answered this lots of times before, but why is your username Books and Chokers? And you're wearing a beautiful one right now as well.
Nobody has asked me that, and I've been waiting for someone to ask me. Nobody cares. I sort of talked about it a few months ago, and someone was like, "Oh, I've been reading it as Books and Chonkers." I was like, "How dare you?"
Why?
But
Why?
Why?
Why would it be that?
Because I love chokers. I was born in the 90s, and you couldn't be a kid in the 90s and not have chokers. Like Claire's Accessories chokers were everything. And then, you know, the fashion gods decided chokers are no longer cool and they never will be again, but I disagree. I think they're amazing. And Anna, you'll like this, I design my own collections and I always theme them. So I've got a Moulin Rouge collection. So they're different chokers. They're all called things like Can and Smoldering Temptress and Green Fairy. They're all got like little themed names. I did a Disney one, like one for each princess. I did a London one. I would love to, once I can get back to my like craft stores, I would love to do like a middle grade one. So there's like one for Spark, one for like Pinch of Magic, and one for you know, Nevermore. Like I would love to do that. And then the authors could wear them. No, I'm kidding. But
that is a good idea. Yes, let's endorse this. This is happening.
Pages and Co. Anna, we could have one. But like I just like to make them and I like to wear them, and yeah, I don't know, like I think they can kind of like boost you. I mean, like we've said, I'm a terrible morning person, so I need things to cheer me up, and sometimes putting a joker on, I'm like, okay. So, and because I love books, I think that was self-explanatory. Books and jokers.
Yeah, it goes very well together. If I put two of my loves together, in fact, I can't even say it on it live. So I saw in an interview actually that you have had quite a lot of jobs over the years. What are some of the ones that you really love to do? And I mean, if you want to say ones that you didn't enjoy, you can, but I won't pressure you. That can be a secret.
So my first job was, I was 9 years old. I was a child actor in the theatre. So I did musicals when professional musicals came to Edinburgh and they needed kids, you know, so if they were like, you know, my first one was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I was 9, and that was back when it was still legal to make kids do 11 shows a week, and we did 11 shows a week. So wow. That was my first one. And so I would leave school at lunchtime, go and do a matinee, have dinner in the restaurant across the street, which is next to Blackwell's now in Edinburgh, because it was the Festival Theatre. And then I would go back and do the evening show and then go home. So that was my first job. And that's what taught me everything about work ethic. You know, like if we were not in the right place, the stage manager would get mad at us and we might get written up to the union. And like you learn about timekeeping and professionalism, and like you could see when the audience would get bored. So as a storyteller now, like, you know, the bits that kind of people are like, oh, and the bits people are like, yay. So it taught me a lot about storytelling. I did Joseph, I did concerts, I did Oliver, I did Annie, like I did any like musical with kids I did up until I was about 16. So that was a lot. And I was a bartender when I first moved to London for a year. That's another great job if you want to be a writer, because you can see all kinds of people and all kinds of characters and they all want to tell you their story. And I've been a bookseller, which was great and obviously taught me tons of stuff about the market and about, you know, introduced me to incredible authors. And I've been, I'm not going to say the ones I hate because they might watch this.
yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Not fun. I did not enjoy working in an office. I'll say that.
Oh, fair. I mean, I feel like you're like, after working, well, I mean, working like child labor, doing all of these shows and performances, working in an office after that kind of celebrity lifestyle, it's just, it doesn't feel up to scratch.
Celebrity lifestyle? Oh, no. There was no celebrity lifestyle in the theatre. It was like, oh no, I wish.
You're telling me you weren't recognized in the street?
No, I was shunned in the street because theatre kids are inherently obnoxious and people don't want to be around them. They can only be friends with each other, and that's fine. I still like I'm proud of that, but like, yeah, not the celebrity lifestyle.
Yeah. Maybe now you can adopt the celebrity lifestyle, and I would endorse it. I feel like you should go for it. The next question, actually, someone asked the same kind of question in the comments. I just want to pull it up. Yeah, so I was going to ask about how you've been writing all your life, and I wanted to know what kind of stories you wrote before Kind of Spark. But Elizabeth asks, like, is a Kind of Spark the first book you ever wrote?
It's not. I wrote a lot when I probably started when I was about 6. And I used to make little books, and I would fold the book over and staple it, and I would steal transparent covers from the library at school, and I would like slip the books through people's letterboxes back in the village I grew up in, and then they would call my parents 2 hours later and be like, "Come and get this book. We don't." And I would be like, shamefaced going to get the book. But so, and the girl next to me at school was my illustrator, and we like worked together. It's very sweet. But I wrote lots of full-length things that will never see the light of day. And I thoroughly recommend it. You have to just keep going and practicing and practice. It's a craft. It's like anything. It's like playing the violin. You've got to practice. Nobody picks up the violin unless there's some kind of, you know, incredible protege. No one picks up the violin and escapes the like that you have to like do to get that nice sound. And writing is not any different.
I so need you to upload these to like Wattpad or fanfiction.net. Or I mean, that's probably not fan. What did you write? Was it like middle grade as well? Was it real life stories?
Like when I was a kid, I wrote about kids. Like I don't know how normal that is. I think a lot of kids write about adults when they're young. But like I wrote about kids, and my first book was called Clicker the Demon Camera, and it was about this camera that sucked people's souls out when it took pictures of them. Bear with me, but this is because I think I hated having my picture taken as a kid, like hated it. So I wrote about this evil camera that like stole people's souls, because that's what it felt like when my picture was taken. It was like my soul was being stolen. It was like kids like taking this, and I was like, now I'm like, if I was the editor, I'd be like, but how is it alive? Like, how does it move? Like, there's so many like questions, but that was the first. And then it was like a franchise. I wrote sequels. Nobody liked it. Nobody. Quite right.
That's crushing, though. I mean, I can imagine that your heart was quite broken.
You gotta get a thick skin. It's important.
Well, at least you developed it early, then, I guess, because I would be heartbroken if people didn't like maths, especially since you would have been younger. You would have been like experimenting with your writing style and all of that. And to me, it sounds like a fantastic idea. So I think you just need to rework it, edit it, maybe, and then you can do like a series, because that's perfect for this time of year as well. Sounds like Goosebumps-ish.
Yeah, I think very much so. Which is, yeah, we'll see. It's not, it's in the drawer. We'll see.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm gonna, yeah. you do this, but I'm saying yes. I'll get it out here. So, what, like, as a writer now, what does a day in the life of Elle McNicoll look like? I mean, you don't get up too early, do you? And because you're not really an early bird. So, like, do you get into writing midday and then carry on? And what do you do?
I like to start no earlier than 3 p.m. Like, nothing good is coming out of these fingers before 3 p.m. Like, I need to like let go of that rage I was talking about and just sort of like accept that, I'm awake, and that takes a good few hours. So I would say I like it to be, I know this is a tough time of year for a lot of people because it gets dark earlier, but I like it to be dark when I'm writing. I don't know why that is, but I like it to be dark and atmospheric. So yeah, no later than 3 p.m. And now the nights are getting darker, so that's easier for me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, gosh, it was pitch black last night when I was camping outside, and it was like only 8 p.m. and I was like, what the?
I can't believe it. I was like, there's not going to be an interview tomorrow because he's not going to be here to do it. So
there was almost a demonic possession. So I'm that'll be going up probably midnight or something. I don't know, but oh god, it's scary. I was scared, but I'm glad I'm here. To talk.
Me too.
So how? Because a kind of spark, you said on social media that today is the 1 year anniversary since it you got told that it was going to get published, right?
Yeah, I was in a restaurant with my mom having an argument, and I got the email saying, no, we're good. We always fight. That's horrible. I can't remember what it was about, but I got the email from Isher, who is the editorial director of KO, just saying, hey, like, we love it. We want to publish it. And it's like, it's an out of body experience because it's just so like, and I think my mom thought they were vanity publishers. She was like, are they taking money from you? I was like, no, this is legit. Like, this is a real publishing house.
Yeah, I was going to say that like a fantastic publisher. So I'm like wondering like how your experience was working with them. Like how did they make it a reality? But also my mum is the exact same as your mum. She would be like, "You're not giving them money, are you? Like, what is the catch? Where is the fail safe?" That's what she would be like as well.
And when I got Waterston's Book of the Month, I was bawling, and like I called them, and I was like, I got Waterston's Book of the Month, and my mom was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yes." They would not like, like they would not, like always
Lie to you.
always never is like, yeah. It's always just like, why you? Like, I don't know. But yeah, no, KO are amazing. They're incredible publishers. Love them.
Yeah. Oh, me too. They are like fantastic on like social media when I'm following them and see the how supportive they are of their actual authors and
Oh,
you know
they're
like
real
how
people. They're not
yeah.
a corporation. They're real.
Yeah. How long in advance did you get told that you were Waterstone's Book of the Month?
About a month. So yeah,
Oh
on about the beginning of September. That was a mad day. Like
my gosh.
because as I think Sophie said last week, once you've missed your window, you're like, oh, it's not going to happen for this book. Because Wonderscape was Book of the Month in June when Spark came out, which is great, and I love Jennifer Bell. So I was like, that, it's missed the boat, but a future book maybe. And then they said no, the booksellers have been like pushing it, and it's Halloweeny because it's October, and so I was, but it's been a bumper month for middle grade books, and I did kind of on the day, I was like, people are gonna hate me. People are gonna be like, why her? Like,
No.
but
No, nothing like that. No, like it's totally deserved. And actually, I had a feeling I wasn't told too early either. Waterstone's booksellers do see a couple of weeks in advance, but it was a day where I was just randomly working. We got our delivery in. It must have been mid-September or
mhm.
earlier, and we got like 35 copies of A Kind of Spark, and I was like, what does this mean? I
So
kind of think I know what this means, but it threw me off because I was like, but didn't this come out in June? And
yeah,
I'm so happy. I'm so happy that it was made Book of the Month.
thank you. So Waterston's Leads like posted who are amazing. I love them. They posted a picture like a week before October of one of the booksellers, Emma, carrying a big stack of them, and I was like, "You guys know, like you're gonna give away the whole thing." But nobody cracked it. But no, it's been incredible. It's so intense. I'm just trying to enjoy it. Like I'm very bad at enjoying. I'm bad at being in the moment, and I'm just trying to be in the moment and enjoy this once in a lifetime fabulous thing.
We're in the moment now. So you better be enjoying yourself. Cheers. Yeah, I was actually going to message you and be like, oh my God, are you Book of the Month? But then I was like, wait, what if Elle doesn't know? And then I leak it to her. And like, that's like how you find out. I didn't want to risk it. So I just kept,
Oh, bless.
yeah.
A friend kind of worked out the night before. Layla, who's the bookseller at Roundtable Books, kind of worked out something was happening the night before. But I think she thought it was going to be the next book dropping, and she was like, "Oh, I'll get a pre-order link set up." I was like, "No, it's not that." But I was like, "It's just as good." But
Oh, I was going to say I would like a pre-order for the next one. Thank you very much. Last question about you before we move on to A Kind of Spark then. But you, as you said before as well, you are a debut author this year. Things have been crazy. It hasn't been going to plan. But we keep positive on this channel. We keep positive in this live show. And so my question is, it was pretty scary to be pushed this year, but how have you sort of gotten through that? What is your process been this year as you were approaching like publication day, which was, I think a lot of Waterstones were still closed down back in
yeah.
June, I think, when it came out.
So we went into lockdown in March, and
Yeah.
that was like, okay, I'm going to talk about this as a very self-indulgent bratty author and say it's
Please
hard.
do.
I'm not, please take this as a disclaimer, I'm not discounting the magnitude of what we've all been through. I know how bad it is. I lost a friend to it. It's horrible. So putting that to one side, like when March hit, apart from all of those feelings, I was like, this is bad because these months are supposed to be the lead up to the debut where the booksellers are kind of getting on board with the book, and all their proof copies were sitting in bookshops that were shut, that they couldn't read. you know, sitting in their packages, like literally had just been sent to the shops when they all shut. And like there was a bunch of stuff happening of like, oh, we'll do events for authors online, but because nobody knew me, I wasn't invited to anything. Like I wasn't anywhere. So I just was like, no, like I was like, nobody's gonna care. Nobody's gonna know. Like it's gonna be awful. And the shops were shut when it came out. And what shocked me was all I could do in those months was just talk about the book and just be like, hey, you know, if you like books about sisters and books about October and you know, witches and small towns, and you know, you might like this book. And you know, I'm a neurodivergent author, and there are not a lot of neurodivergent kids in middle grade, and there are very few own voices. So I was pushing it a lot, and I to the point where I was like, God, people must be sick of hearing me talk. And then we got to June, and I was like, bookshops are closed. You know, nothing, like it's over, like it's done. And then I got messages saying, oh, Waterston's are sold out, and I was like, okay. And then Amazon sold out. And then Hive sold out, and then Blackwell sold out, and then this incredible indie bookshop called Rocket Ship in Salisbury sold all 41 of their copies that they had. And I was like, oh, like something's happened. Like, no, did these shops have hundreds of copies? No, not at all. Like this was not, you know, Midnight Sun, but they had, you know, they'd sold out. So I was like, people are buying it, or they've pre-ordered it. Like something's happening. And it was the incredible army that is first middle grade readers, but also people who care about inclusive books. They all like strongly and silently showed up. And like, that was, I mean, it was incredible. Like so everything kind of got better from then in terms of the book. Cause I was like, oh, these people care. Like they're legit. Like this is good. Like, it's okay. I don't have to be someone with 20,000 followers. I don't have to be someone who's knows everybody in the industry, because I'm an outsider. I don't know anyone apart from people who I work with. So it was incredible. People really showed up, and that was, I don't know how it happened, but it was amazing. What a long
so
answer. I'm so sorry.
No, please, like, say everything and anything. This is, I mean, if we run longer, you know, I don't care. I've got nothing to do either. This is the big event for me. So no, honestly, it's funny you mentioned that, because I had gotten an email from like sort of the week before lockdown asking if I wanted a proof copy of a Kind of Spark, and I said yes, and it got sent to the shop. And then, I mean, I was on a week holiday, so I was going to like come in and get it, but then furlough happened, and yeah, I just never got a chance to get it. So when you mentioned that, it was, yeah, that brought back.
And I think we really, as like a book community on Twitter, the absence of the booksellers was so palpable and horrible. Like, because you couldn't, if you were on furlough, you couldn't talk about work. Like that was part of the condition. So that absence was massive, and that's why it felt really difficult and really hard. Also, the publishers were like crowdfunding to keep indies afloat, and I was like, there might not be a book, like, but they ended up raising like almost £200,000, and that's all been distributed out to indies that need it. And it's like the community is just like the bomb diggity. Like they just come out when our politicians can't do shit. Like this community is like, pooh. Like it's amazing.
It is. They do. They come for, like, we are all like part of like this amazing like middle grade book community, which it's kind of like, I know Twitter gets a bad rep a lot of the time, but when people, you know, like help out, and like even just like word of mouth, that is just so strong. And especially like this year as well. I mean, it's just been something that I found personally, just kind of seeing like how just talking to somebody about something and hand selling or recommending, and people do listen, people do want to know. It's just kind of talking to the right people and getting that message across. So I feel like, honestly, like it's been such a like special like case for you this year, because I feel like it's been like a huge thing, you know, and it's like, it shows you that it can work and it does work, and I feel like that's important.
And what's crazy to me now is I'll see tweets from people going, oh, should I believe the hype about this book? And I'm like, hype? Like, what hype? Like, we have a word of mouth, like tidal wave that has been building since March. There is no, like, hype. I don't know what hype, but, like, and somebody even was like, oh, I thought, like, a lot of the people talking about Spark had been paid to talk about it. And I was like, like Like, who's getting paid to talk about books? Because I want that job. But like, I was like, no. Like, it's word of mouth, which is like, so you can't put a price on that. That is so precious, and I'm so grateful for that. I don't think it will ever happen to me again. I don't think I can do it again. But like, the people that came out and supported Spark, and I hope some of them are watching this because I can actually get a chance to say, like, they didn't save the book. They saved the book, but they also like saved me from like a tough place. Like, it's no joke. Middle grade, no joke.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, like, I don't feel like it would need to happen for you again, because I feel like now people have read your book, they kind of want it, they will stick around. They will stick around. They want your next book. We demand it. One kind of Spark on a giveaway, and we'll read it for Believeathon.
Oh.
I love me some giveaways. I really do. It's great books are finally being written about neurodivergent people. I do feel like that's a big topic I do want to discuss. So I'm going to go on to a kind of Spark now. And yes, sorry. I mean, I've talked about you for like the past half hour, and I've loved it. I've loved it. So we'll get to like books for neurodivergent children and all that representation in the publishing industry. But first, for anybody watching who hasn't yet read A Kind of Spark, Elle, could you tell us what it's about, please?
A Kind of Spark is a contemporary middle grade about an autistic girl called Addie, who's 11 years old, and she lives in a tiny Scottish village called Juniper, which is very eccentric and very keen to preserve its image as a very sweet and lovely village. But there's a deep, dark secret under the floorboards. I don't know. And it's about Addie and her school teach her about the history of Juniper, which is that hundreds of years ago, there were lots of witch trials in the village, and a lot of women were executed for the crime of witchcraft. And Addie relates so much to these witches because she's bullied quite a lot, and all it took for these women to be sort of executed was somebody to point the finger and say that they were different or bad. And Addie relates to that a lot. And it's about her older sisters, Nina and Kitty. Kitty is autistic like Addie, and she's a free spirit, and she's got a secret of her own. And Nina is a beauty vlogger, and she's very sort of preoccupied with things that don't really matter, let's just say. And she's got a new friend at school and old friends that are now enemies. And it's just a book that's got comedy, tragedy, friendship, sisterhood. It's like a neurodivergent Anne of Green Gables.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's how I'm gonna, when I go back, I'm back to work tomorrow. That's how I'm gonna sell it. That is how I'm gonna sell it. That's about, well, I love that summary. And yeah, that is pretty much like the basis of this book. There's like so many complex layers to it. So like I would urge people to read it so you can see what I'm talking about. And guys, when have I ever led anybody wrong? Like, seriously. Never. Do you remember when you first sat down and wrote A Kind of Spark?
Yeah. I had the idea for a while. I knew I wanted to write about the witch trials and about what it's like to be in a small Scottish village. And it was, I haven't told anyone this, it was the day Toni Morrison died. So Toni Morrison, the incredible writer. And I went into a bookshop the day she died, and none of her books were like out on display at the front of the shop. And I had a complete, as we say in our community, meltdown. And I was like, where are Toni Morrison's books? Like, why are they not at the front? Like, because when Tom Wolfe died, when I was a bookseller, like, you couldn't move for Bonfire of the Vanities. They were everywhere. So I was like, where's Toni Morrison's books? And I went home and cried. And I don't know what, like, I never met the woman. Like, I just really like her work. But Toni Morrison said that great quote, which I'm going to completely butcher, but she basically said, if you can't find the book you want, write your own. Like, write the book you can't find. And that's what I did over the next few days. I just got the idea out because I've been writing something very academic, and I've been doing all this research about ND Rep, and it was very depressing and not much fun. And I just kind of saw the character that I was looking for and not finding, and I just put her into the idea that had been mulling around, and then it was off to the races, and it kind of all came out.
Oh wow, that is really inspiring actually, especially because yeah, I know that quote very well. It's like when Tori Morrison did die, actually in our bookshop, we couldn't really find her books. We have only ever like one copy of her book at a time. And when it like sells, we'll have to like restock it, but like we'll have to wait for it to come in. And they were like somebody bought them straight away, and then we had nothing. And then we had to wait
I'm
for
not blaming the bookshop. I was
oh
completely
yeah.
like unraveling. Like it wasn't anything they'd done. I was just in a different psychic plane. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I feel that. I mean, inspiring like women, so inspiring words as well. And I do think, like, with you having written or like started to write it on that day as well, it really does show that the power of like someone like another author. Which I guess like for you being an author now, I'm kind of wondering like, will you feel like I don't know, like pressure that people are going to be like looking up to you now, and you know,
Um, I don't. I feel it as a neurodivergent person because I only really started talking about being neurodivergent when I was about 25, so a couple of years ago. Before that, it was a secret that I just didn't tell people. And that was making me quite unhealthy. It wasn't good for me to keep it a secret. But now people, I wake up and people have sent me essays about what it means to see a book like Spark and an author who's ND, and it is a lot of pressure. I do kind of go like, oh no, like I'm a very imperfect person, and I never want to say the wrong thing in terms of that, and it's a lot of responsibility, and I'm completely proud of Spark, and I don't sort of question my work, but me as a person, it is a lot of pressure sometimes. Yeah, it's a lot.
I totally understand that because, as you said before as well, there just isn't a lot of representation for neurodivergent children in publishing, in children's books. It's very rare to come across.
Yeah.
So that kind of, I mean, that's why I thought like it, because now when people do ask like me for a recommendation, and it's for like disability representation, whether it's for neurodivergent children, whether they're autistic, anything like that, deaf children, it's kind of hard to
Oh,
really give a really great like good recommendation because it's hard to come across them. So I mean I don't like know if like that is like well I do know it is a problem. So like do you know if you think like that's going to be changing anytime soon, or
well, I'm gonna change it. So
you've already started changing it.
like somebody said the other day, because I told them sort of what I was working on, and they were like, "You're doing another neurodivergent protagonist?" I was like, "You're right. You damn right I am. Like I don't have a neurotypical brain. I don't know what that's like. I can't, so I can only write, what I know. I have to imagine what neurotypical people think and feel. So I'm gonna write as many neurodivergent characters as I can. They're all gonna be different because there's so many different ways of being ND, and we can't get locked into the same. Addie is one way, and the one I'm working on now is completely different. And yeah, if I'm the only one doing it, fine. What I am always quite stern about is that if you're gonna do it and you're not ND, you better do your research and you better get your sensitivity reader in, because there have been so many badly done kids books with ND characters, and I can't even read them anymore. And I'm not, I'll never cancel anyone. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not going to call anyone out, but like I read these books and I get sad because I'm like, this was not written for an ND child, because you couldn't have written it for an ND child, or you wouldn't have said these things. You wouldn't use this language. And so I'm very, I talk about how I want more neurodiversity in publishing, but I want neurodivergent people to be doing it. And we need more neurodivergent people of color. We need more LGBT neurodivergent people, all the other factions and all the other breakdowns. It can't just be white ND people, cis ND people. We need it to be diverse within the group. So I hope that the door now is open, and I just want to see as many people come through as possible from the community first and foremost.
Yeah, they need to be allowed to enter that world, and
making the books as well, not just writing the books. Like it was easier for me to get a book published as an ND person than to get into publishing. Like publishing is hard, and it's still very one type of person. And I'd love to see more ND people, openly, proudly ND people, editing, production, design. Like we have an ND cover designer. The editor that came in and did copy edits for this was autistic. Like our team was ND. Nights Of made it happen. It can be done. Like, but everyone needs to be doing it, not just the indies.
Yeah, that is a really brilliant point, actually. And is it why you made a kind of Spark middle grade? Because I feel like if children like grow up knowing that this is possible for them, then this publishing industry, this industry as a whole, people in general will be more welcoming to neurodivergent people. Is that why you made this middle grade, really, to kind of make sure that children were seen?
Yeah, definitely. I love middle grade. I'm a middle grade reader, but I think I definitely just had that image of me being 11 years old and having a stack of books every weekend and just loving to read and never seeing someone that had my condition in any of the books. And also, Gav, never questioning that, never thinking that was weird. Like, I just was like, that's okay. I don't belong in books. That's normal. Next. Like, it never was a question. So I want these kids to question it. And I want them to put Spark down and be like, the next one. Where's the next autistic lead? Like, where's the next ADHD lead? Where's the next lead with Tourette's? Like, it has to be more than it is, because there are millions of these kids and adults as well. That I'm so overwhelmed by how many adults have reached out about Spark, saying that they now are going to be public about their diagnosis, or they're going to get a diagnosis because they've always sort of known something was different and they now think that they know what that is. And, so like, that's mind-blowing to me. And it's so emotional to get those messages, as well as the incredible messages from kids. Yeah.
I can imagine. I really can imagine. And when people say the children are our future, I feel like a lot of the times people don't include neurodivergent children, just because they write them off quite early. And I feel like what's so powerful about kind of Spark is that we have Addie, and she doesn't let anybody write her off. There's actually like a really beautiful quote, which I don't cry. But it's when she says, "I will decide when I give up." That was a moment that I thought was just so powerful and so important for a lot of like kids to read about, especially as we were talking about neurodivergent children, to see themselves represented and to know that there is definitely something that they can do within themselves as well, not just like other people need to change this, but this has to I have to kind of, hopefully nobody has to do that, but hopefully kids can be like, yes, I can start this change. This is like a revolution that I can help. And hopefully it doesn't that's not too much pressure. But I feel like with publishing and with adults these days, because they don't understand, is that they think that by keeping neurodivergent children in a box, or people, kids like Addie, and writing them off and saying their voice doesn't matter, that's not the way to go. And I feel like we need to change, and then that needs to be a learning point for us.
I'm so glad you brought that quote up, because that is one of my favorite quotes, because a lot of stories, not so much in middle grade, but in sort of film and television about autistic kids, is that they are some kind of magical savant. Like, they have they're a maths genius, or they're like Rain Man and they can count all the toothpicks, weird things that 99% of ND people cannot do. And the thing about Addie is her superpower is her resilience. She just keeps getting up. Like, no matter how often they push her, she's like, I'm gonna get up, because that you have to be resilient when you're ND. It's your life. Like, you just have to keep getting up no matter what. So I'm really glad you brought that up, because that's one of my favorite bits.
There's so many bits, really. Another one of my favorite bits is, good booksellers, like good teachers, are saviors. And don't mean to brag, but
I want it on a t-shirt. I love that.
I want that on a t-shirt. But yeah, so sorry, I could get into a spiel, because a lot of the stuff that I read, obviously I'm neurotypical, so I have no legs to stand on about my feelings towards how, I do, because I see it and I'm empathetic to Addie's situation, especially with Miss Murphy, who I genuinely absolutely hate. But you mentioned
been marginalized in any way connects to that storyline, because I get messages from people that are like, I'm NT, but I was the only Black kid in my class and I know what that feels like, or I was the only gay kid in my class and I know what that feels like. It's not honed in purely to being ND, and that was deliberate. I think everyone can relate to Addie in some way.
Oh yeah, the themes in this are just so universal, and it's something that I definitely, yeah, like whenever I'm reading a book that I don't think, oh, I probably wouldn't connect to it because I'm not neurodivergent, there is definitely something to connect to because you're a human, and
Yeah,
that is pretty much how I went into it, and how I go into every book where there's a protagonist who I'm not, like I'm not like. Otherwise, I would read nothing if that was the case. I don't read all like books about gay men or anything like that, like it's totally different. So you have to, for us as readers, we have to make like a conscious effort
don't be
to
scared. Like, don't be scared of
yeah.
this book. The autism is not the plot, and I think some people are maybe a bit scared because they see a lot of the tweets where people are like, "I just finished this book and I can't stop crying," and I love those tweets; they're my favorite. But they're not crying because anything bad's happened. Like, this is not a tragic trauma book. Like, the plot is all about the witch trials and the memorial, and like autism was absolutely not the plot of this book. So don't let it scare you, and don't think that like it's going to be horribly sad. It's not. It's really not. Like.
Yeah, I was going to say we've touched on this quite a few times actually, about the witch trials part of this, and about how the witches, all it took was them to be accused of being different for them to lose their life, and that was such it is like so hard to wrap your head around, and I don't think like even now when I'm like thinking back at it, sometimes I forget that history happened and people lived, and these witches or these innocent women had been brutally murdered, and it was in the name of some like pompous people who just felt that they had the right to accuse people just because they were different.
Yeah.
So was that parallel would have been rather a conscious decision for you to make for this book?
It definitely was, and it's still relevant today. I mean, I think we all know it's still relevant today. But I was reading a lot of the like historic court documents, as if there was any kind of legitimate trial. But I was reading them, and it was all the sort of the excuses and the reasons for why these people needed to be killed. And it was like, this woman talks to herself. This woman avoids eye contact in the street. This woman talks to cows. This woman, isn't very friendly. And I was like, this is me. Like, I would have been strung up in those days. Like, and some of them go, I won't go into some of the sadder ones, but I was reading them and I was like, these people are vulnerable. Like, I think there's a sort of idea, and maybe it's come out of the States and Salem, but there's sort of an idea that the witches were kind of like the Sanderson sisters, that they were these kind of sassy women, and society was like, we have to bring down the sassy women. Not at all. If you read these documents, I was like, they were vulnerable and they were alone and isolated, and sometimes it was because they had a different religion, or it didn't take anything to get accused. And I was like, those people that are being punished in those days, they're the same people that people avoid today. They're the same people that people pretend they don't see in the street. Like, so there's nothing empowering about being a witch, in that sense. It isn't some sort of like, well, I'm the witch they want to burn. No, there's nothing empowering about it. It was very horrible, and a lot of them would have been vulnerable, learning disabled, mentally unwell, like people who should have been protected by society, but instead they were marginalized and then brutally, sorry, I don't want to bring the mood down, but like it was important to draw those parallels and be like, we have to take care of each other. We can't still be doing this where we punish each other for tiny insignificant, just because someone doesn't behave the way you think they should behave. So those parallels were very deliberate.
Yeah, especially because Jupiter is a very like close, well, not close, but like it's a very close-in community. It can feel rather claustrophobic at times,
Yeah.
especially for Addie, who really does, she stands out from everyone else, and she feels the eyes on her when she is at the town hall meetings, and she wants to use her voice and things. She sees how people look at her, and she's very aware of that. And it was, I mean, for me, it was like such a heartbreaking moment when she made that declaration where she was like, yeah, like these women were just different, and that is why they lost their life. And it's a very important like parallel, I feel, that you made.
Thank you.
But I mean, I could go on and on about like how infuriating Miss Murphy is as well, not giving Addie a chance, and not even just Addie but Keedy as well, before Addie, so she had never learned anything. So I don't want to. I mean, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but like, did you have a Miss Murphy in your life, or?
Yeah, I definitely did. She ripped up my work because my handwriting, because part of being autistic and dyspraxic, which I am as well, means that you don't have very good motor skills. So my handwriting was never good. It still isn't good. My hands shake. And she said she couldn't. She said, I remember it exactly. She lifted up the writing and she went, "This is horrible," and she ripped without reading it. I can't remember what day of the week it is, but I will never forget what that felt like. So she was based on her, and I just, yeah, and people sort of say to me, the teachers have been incredible about this book. I'm so lucky that the teachers have supported it the way they have. But a couple of them are like, "Oh, you know, you wouldn't see this nowadays." But I still get messages from people that are like, "My daughter is in year 6 and she's being treated like this," and it's nothing to do with teachers. It's to do with people. There are some people that just they cannot extend that empathy and compassion to somebody who's on a different neurological plane, or who is a different race, or who is a different sexuality. They just can't extend that empathy, and it's sad and it's horrible. But when it starts to impact people's lives, I think we have to sort of say something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a child and you remember that event, you know, it's never going to leave you. And that's so scarring. And like, honestly, it is infuriating. And people need to learn how to just treat people like people. It's honestly like, if I had a character who I hate so much, I think it's Miss Murphy, above like villains in fantasy novels or anything like that, because she is real.
There's nothing fun about her. She's not. Like, some people are like, "Oh, is she a bit like Trunchbull?" I'm like, no, because Trunchbull's kind of fun. Like, she's awful, but she like hates everyone equally, and she's, you know, she's a cartoon villain because she like throws kids around with. She's crazy, but like Miss Murphy is not. She's real. Like, she's not fun. She's very clever about how she's you know, cruel. She's not cruel to all students. She has her favorites, so she's a very good teacher for those kids. She's very, very shrewd and knows how to hide her behavior from the system. And they exist in all professions. They're in police, they're in doctors, they're in, I mean, because it's a human thing. And I think that's why people really like recoil from her, because especially if you're in any way in a minority, you kind of know that person. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The part with the thesaurus, and then everything that happened after that as well with Miss Murphy, and oh yeah, sorry, it does stir feelings in me as well. But as I mentioned as well, like, people do need to learn, and I feel like because I am neurotypical, I learned through Audrey's questions, because Audrey is Addie's best friend. Well, she becomes like her best friend. She's neurotypical. And there's I write it down? Sorry, I write like loads of stuff down. Like, it's like quotes from the book. So there's one that, don't worry, like, not a spoiler for anyone, I promise. But it's when this is found it. So this is Addie, and she says, you may, this isn't to Audrey either as well, but like, it's this quote, and you might seem strange to someone else, but while you are neurotypical and I'm autistic, I promise we are more alike than we are different. And I feel like that is really apparent with Addie and Audrey as well, their friendship. I mean, they are very different, and Audrey has a lot to learn about that. So she does ask a lot of questions, and I felt like I myself like learned through that. So was that again like an intentional thing for you to have a neurotypical character? Were you anticipating like neurotypical readers like myself to need that?
I mean, neurotypical people are like 95% of the population, so they're always going to be the dominant, you know, they're always going to be more. So absolutely. But I think also it was realistic. That's what a new kid would say, because she doesn't know the answers to those things. And there's the one thing I really don't like is to see people who are being curious and asking questions and getting attacked or shamed, you know, because then they immediately they shut up and they're like, right, I'll never ask a question again. So Audrey does say some things that are maybe a little bit not offensive, but they're maybe not the best things to say. And Addie doesn't punish her for that. She just sort of enlightens her a little bit, because why would you know the answers to those things? Nobody is talking about ND people in the way that they are, the way they live their lives and how they really are. The ND people are we're not allowed to talk for ourselves a lot of the time. You know, neurotypical people talk for us a lot of the time. So Addie's just, you know, it's a teachable moment, and she gets to set the story straight. So yeah, it was kind of a choice, but I also just think that Audrey's curious, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I love that, because especially with a lot of times, yeah, it's the way Audrey phrases things sometimes, but I think Addie understands as well, because she is like the same age. She knows that she's really just a child. There's lots of things that Addie doesn't know about Audrey, and Audrey doesn't know about Addie. So it's kind of like a working relationship. It's like it's a normal relationship. It's a normal friendship, and it's just, you're just discovering things about each other. Like, it's nothing different to the norm.
And nobody's cared to ask Addie before. Nobody's taken the time to actually ask, well, what does autistic mean? And why do you feel this way? And so Addie's sort of, in a way, is like, wow, someone's actually taking an interest and showing empathy. And I think so she's really encouraged in a lot of ways, even if some of the questions are a little bit off color. She's like, well, it's coming from a really great place, and it's nice to be, you know, respected and appreciated like this. So yeah, I love their relationship. They're sweet.
Same. I love that relationship as well. And it was really like heartwarming for Addie, because she said as well, like her previous friends, like who she thought were her friends, they just never seemed interested. She always did things for them, or like anything that they were interested in doing, she would just go along with it, but they were never interested in doing what Addie wanted to do. And it was just, yeah, I was so like glad like Audrey could kind of come into this and sort of be a kind of like a support for Addie. Like Addie, I feel like Addie didn't like need her to like, you know, really step up and like use her voice, but she was there as emotional support
to be. And it's and yeah, they're sweet.
They're so sweet. They're so sweet. Which is why I need more Addie and Audrey stories. But you mentioned before as well about Keedy and Nina and the sisterhood between them as well. You had like Keedy be also autistic, but Nina not. What was because you also, Keedy is different to Addie as well. Keedy is like very different, and you would have wanted to represent that as well, I imagine. But when you said like earlier in the live show as well, how you didn't say that you wanted neurodivergent for a long time, and I feel like with Keedy as well, she tries to hide it, she masks.
Yeah.
And that really does take an emotional toll on her, and it wasn't healthy for her. So was Keedy like sort of inspired by you and your experiences?
I think a little bit. And also Keedy kind of became a self-fulfilling prophecy, because in the book she talks about how it's so hard for her sometimes, because Addie loves her so much and thinks she's so great. It's sometimes hard to be a human and to have those moments of like, I'm not doing well today. And I feel that now. I didn't feel it so much before, but I feel so much more now when I do get, you know, kids writing to me saying like, oh my God, I'm like, saying the most beautiful things, but it does kind of make me go, oh gosh, like, they can't ever know that I'm just a human who has horribly bad days sometimes. So yeah, Keedy is a different generation, and Addie's got all of this, not privilege, but help from Keedy. She knows what things mean. She knows how to understand what she's going through. Keedy didn't have any of that. And so she's really saying to Addie, like, I will make things better for you. I will make things easier. But she's not had it easy in any way. And I wanted Nina to be neurotypical because it's quite common with twins for one to be ND and one not. And also so many books about that do have ND characters in middle grade, it's usually the protagonist is a neurotypical sibling, and it's all about how difficult it is to have an autistic sibling, which is very tired and tropey and not interesting to read, I think. But it's been done a lot, and I wanted to switch it and have the one sibling be neurotypical and the other two be autistic. And Nina's kind of the troubled one. She's the one that is having the arguments with mum all the time. She's the one that's embarrassed to say that she lives in Juniper. Like, she's the one that kind of has a lot of the identity struggles going on. And Addie and Keedy have this very tight relationship that she's sort of not a part of, and that's hard for her. I love Nina. Like, I think she's a great person, and I really enjoy writing with the three of them together. But it was important for me that this is a story that centers ND people, and I'm not really apologetic about that. There's plenty of stories that don't, but yeah. So some people have been like, "Oh, is Nina going to get a book?" And I'm like, "No," because
She doesn't need one.
No, there's plenty of books about neurotypical teenagers, and I love her, but this is their show, and it's not often that gets to happen.
The whole sisterhood dynamic of it, especially towards like the latter half of the book, I think they really do. I mean, I won't spoil anything for anyone, but there's like really nice moments with the sisters like towards the end, and like just seeing how they're sisters, they're still sisters.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, just bottom line, they love each other and
Oh,
they are sisters.
They love each other like crazy. Like they are so like ride or die for each other. Like that was another really important thing for me. I was like, at no point in this family is anyone ever going to say, I wish you were different. I wish you hadn't been born the way you were born. They all love each other. Kitty and Nina love each other so much they fight all the time. But when they're alone, they're probably very different, but it's told from Addie's perspective. But yeah, there's, not to spoil it, but the sisters are all in different directions, but there is one point in the climax where they are all in the same direction, and it's the scene that people tend to kind of love the most. And Nina gets her moment in that scene, which is, I think people really like that.
Yeah, it's just, I know. Just like even with people in the comments as well, actually, where I think it's Martha. Yeah, Martha said, "Yeah, I hate that trope too. It's just as hard for us neurodivergent people to have neurotypical siblings who don't always get it." Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trope. It's constant. It's like mice and men being told over and over again, and I'm like, we get it, but like it's done.
Move on.
Yeah, something new, please.
Yeah. I definitely I mean, I'll talk about what's coming up later, and like a lot of these questions that I had, actually I kind of just blended in like so much with what we've talked about. So sorry about that. I've totally thrown you through a loop with that. But yeah, one of the last questions I wanted to say about kind of Spark, and I'll pull up some viewer comments as well, actually, is about the fact that since publication, you mentioned this a few times, that the tweets in support for it and people who connect with it have been phenomenal. So, like, do you want to like talk about that for a little bit? And like,
I will never be able to convey what that has been like. There's not been a single day since publication, which was June the 4th. There's not been a day that I haven't had someone tell me their life story and how much the book has meant to them. And I don't think that's normal. And that's incredibly moving. And someone had their niece in Canada has just been diagnosed as autistic, and the family didn't know how to bring it up. So they gave her the book. I don't know how the book got to Canada, but it did. And they gave her the book, and she now loves Addie so much that she wanted to be autistic. And so the conversation just flowed into, well, you are. So there you go. And now there's kids writing to me saying that they use the book as like a toolbox, and they point to parts and say, this is what I'm feeling today. And it has been like, I'm just gonna get emotional, because it's like this is not my life. I think a lot of people try to get me to say that this is like my life, and they think a lot of it's very sort of autobiographical. It's actually really not. Yes, I was an ND kid in a small Scottish village, but that's kind of where it ends. And a lot of things were really, really hard and really sad, and things that would not be good to print in middle grade books. And I mean, I'm crying now, but like having gone through all that and now getting these letters, I'm like, it was all worth it. Like, it was all worth it.
Bless you, Al. No, it's like I totally get it. Like, sorry for setting you off.
No, it's okay. Like, that's what it means. It's a lot. Yeah. Like, I love it. It's such a special thing.
No, I can imagine. It's kind of like, yeah, as you said, like this isn't autobiographical at all, but it's something that I feel like for you, like just with your experiences and everything, just like knowing that people aren't like trying to silence you. They're not trying to say like, oh, because you're different and because you are neurodivergent, we shouldn't be listening to what you write or paying any attention to you. They're actually like, they're giving you the time of day, which is something that you've been fighting for your entire life. And it's finally happened, and you definitely deserve it.
Thank you. It's been incredible. And You know, I was watching, I don't know if you've seen this film, I was watching Saving Mr. Banks the other night, which is about P.L. Travers and Walt Disney. And there's a scene where Tom Hanks as Disney is talking about how he created Mickey Mouse and Sleeping Beauty's Palace and Disneyland and all these happy, wonderful things because his childhood was hard. And he said a line that absolutely destroyed me because he says, "I'm tired of remembering it that way." That's kind of how I feel. I don't want to remember the bad things that happened. I just want to remember this now and what this has achieved. And if this is it for me and all I can do, then it's really quite enough because it has been extraordinary. And the people who have made it happen are, I mean, I can't even say it. It's just incredible what people have done. And yeah, I'll never get over it, ever.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's the great thing that's happened in 2020 has been the fact that you've been given this platform now and you've managed to speak, and it's been such a positive reaction, and I'm glad it's been quite a life-changing one as well. And I'm just like, honestly, I'm so like chuffed for you. But so I mean, we'll talk about the future because I feel like big things are coming for you, and everything. So if anybody has any last minute questions, speak now or forever hold your peace. I will go through some viewer comments now. Actually, being neurodivergent and Karen, this makes me very, very happy. Love you guys.
Love you too.
Love you. And then, Claire hasn't read it yet, but she's really looking forward to reading it.
It's good, thank you. I'm glad
I don't think you put anyone off. Like people need.
Can you imagine?
People need to read it. Yeah, we kind of had the reverse effect of this live show. Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't think that's happened. Karen L speak about this with such passion just makes me want to fist pump the air and shout yes. This is Elle's life, though. This is like, yeah, it's. I mean, we want to fist pump her.
It's exactly what you just said. Like this, when you are an own voices author, whatever that means, whether you're a Black author writing Black kids or you're a disabled author, like it's your life. It's not your job. Like it's your life. Like, so yeah, thank you for that fist bump. I need it. Like, thank you.
Yeah, seriously, I mean, I genuinely hope like times are changing. Times are changing. What made my blood boil reading that, I think we were talking about the thesaurus part at that point.
Oh yeah, the kids that I did a visit for yesterday acted it out, and that kind of changed it for me because it's always been a hard scene for me to reread, and then seeing the kids act it out, I was like, they were like pretending to beat each other up. I mean, but I was like, that is hilarious. So yeah, forget I just said.
I might, yeah, no, don't worry about that. This is Mrs. Dunn. This is Ali. I've done a live show with Ali before in the past. Can't wait to read Kind of Spark. I've already talked it up to my students. And Ali lives in America as well. So
amazing! We're coming out in America next year.
Excellent. Do you have any dates or anything for that, or? No,
I mean, I think autumn 2021. It's Random House, so they're a big one, but it's going to be autumn, I think. But the Dutch one comes out on the 20th of this month, and Italy come out next April.
Right. Okay. No, it's a great time to come out. Actually, is the autumn for America. Yeah, I think that's perfect. I mean, we've got a while to wait, but you can still get it off Waterstones. You can. Crying with you.
Oh, all the time. I'm always every day.
I mean, I have been in the past few weeks as well, to be fair. But Tracy, Elle, you are going to change people's lives and impressions of neurodivergent people.
Oh, Tracy, thank you so much.
Tracy is amazing. She's so supportive. Right. Well, I wanted to say what's next. We have Can You Make a Kind of Spark too? So what are you, in the acknowledgements of your book, you do say you have so many more stories in you. So what are you working on?
That was arrogant of me.
No, it's not.
Sorry to disappoint that person, but I'm working on something completely different. I'm in edits for a middle grade with an ND protagonist, but it's completely different. It's what am I allowed to say? It's set slightly in the future, and it's like a neurodivergent platonic love story.
Oh,
I love it, but it's very different to Spark. I mean, still great themes, uplifting stuff, like good stuff. But very different. It's genre, you know, it's kind of like a sci-fi in some ways, not space, but like sort of, I don't know, dystopia. I don't know, God, but very different. But I would love to write more Spark books. So you know, if the publishers are game, I'm game. I would love to do more, and I'd love to do Kidi's story. I'd love to do a prequel about Kidi and her life, because I think her voice would be very different and fun to do.
Oh, that would mean we'd have to suffer through Miss Murphy again.
No. I'd cover her after her. Once
Phew. Oh gosh. Well, this is always the hardest part of the live show, when I'm asking what you're working on, because nobody can say what they're working on, and I'm like, stop teasing, just tell me everything.
That's quite a lot. That's quite a lot. I mean, I know it sounds like flaming garbage because none of it makes any sense, but like, I like it a lot, and I really, really hope you guys like it too, because it's got something to say. And
yeah, I am so excited. I am so excited. Is there going to be a film? That would be nice.
That would be nice. God, what am I don't think I'm allowed to say.
Ominous.
Yeah, I don't think I'm allowed to talk about that.
Okay.
But I would love to see it on the big or the small screen. I'd love it to be in the theater. Like, I'm a theater kid. I'd love to see it. I'd love to make kids work 8 shows a week like I had to work. No, but yeah, I'd love it to be adapted, and I'm totally game for that. Yeah.
I think any writer would want to see their works on screen, 100%. I mean, I haven't done anything. I'd love to see my life on the screen. Somebody please do an autobiographical film. It'll be better than Bohemian Rhapsody, which I did enjoy, to be fair, but it'll be better. Do you have any recommendations for books with disability representation from own voices?
So there's an anthology called STEM, an anthology, which has been edited by Lizzie Huxley Jones. It's not for kids, I don't think. It's for adults, but it's brilliant. State of Grace by Rachel Lucas is sort of a teen book. I don't think you could say it's a middle grade, but it's also quite lovely. It's not own voices, but The Infinite by Patience Agbabi has been sensitivity read very well, and it's about sort of time traveling indie kids. And it's an indie kid of color, which is really rare, and it's got an amazing cover of this gorgeous Black girl like time traveling. So that's fun. But like, I'm not saying this to sound like a jerk, but like middle grade, I'm kind of on my own on those tables. Like there's not a lot of own voices disabled rep. And they're all going to be furious with me for forgetting if there are. But on the top of my head, I'm like, I can just picture the tables, and I can't see, you know, that are about disability.
Yeah.
So let's have some more, please.
Yes, this is definitely positive change. I had a prompt for the second Believathon, which ran in May, and the prompt was to read a book with disability representation, and there were some that were suggested for it, but not a lot compared to everything else, and that is kind of what was a big red flag for me, because it was a prompt that a lot of people struggled with. To find something to fill it with.
I know that bloggers and books, like people are like, why don't you do more disabled books? It's like, 'cause there aren't any. There's so few. Like, if you want to, like, it's really hard, and it is up to the publishers. The ball is in their court. They have to start actively looking for indie writers, because the gates that are in place that keep people, not just indie people, but a lot of marginalized people out of publishing are very high, and it's up to them to go looking for these people. Getting off my soap. I'm so boring when I talk.
No, you're not. A couple of comments actually first as well. When I finished it, I was very sad because I couldn't read any further.
Thank you
Lucy,
so much.
I feel you. Yeah. Oh, and Tracy's nephew has Asperger's, and he's 24 now. I need to get this book ordered.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that'll be really. Martha's also a bookseller, Waterstone's bookseller. Only one I can think of is "Can You See Me" by Libby Scott.
Yeah.
I mean, I really wish I could have way more recommendations as well myself. There is,
And like I said, there are books with autistic characters, but most of them don't tend to be own voices. And I don't like to talk about this because nobody sets out to write a bad book, and nobody sets out to write an ableist book. But unfortunately, like if you're guessing when it comes to things like disability, you make a lot of mistakes. So unfortunately, a lot of books that aren't written by own voices authors tend to kind of make the same mistakes. So I don't like to recommend them too much.
yeah.
But other people love them, so they can do all the recommending they want. But yeah.
No, I only ever read own voices now. I've been burned too many times from straight people writing gay romance, and I'm just like,
yeah, and white people writing black people, and sometimes men writing women, and just not quite getting recycling an old stereotype, and you just kind of, it takes you kind of out of the experience a bit. And again, a disclaimer before I get cancelled: people can write whatever they want, but then people can also respond to it how they like. Yeah. So I'm not cancelling anyone. People can write what they like.
Yeah, and people can read whatever they write. Nobody cancel me either. No. You can read what you want.
These are our opinions.
Yes, exactly. So before we wrap up as well, Elle, is there anything you're planning for the rest of the month? Anything exciting that you're doing, or?
I'm going to try and get to as many Waterstones as I can safely. I always take a cab and I mask up like I'm the cowboy I want to be, with my my big glasses. And I think maybe that's why booksellers look so nervous when I come into the shop. They're like, who is this? But I'm going to try and get to as many Waterstones as I can. And please, like, if you want to chat on Twitter, I'm always there. Books and Jokers, hit me up. We can chat. I'm always around.
I have all of Elle's social media links in the description, so do follow Elle on Instagram, Twitter, and all of that. But as you said as well, you're visiting lots of Waterstones. I wish I lived further down south, because if you came into my Waterstones, you wouldn't leave for like 2 hours at least.
I'm desperate to come to your Waterstones, but I want to be safe. Send me your address, and I'll send you a signed copy about how much I love you in it. And Books Are My Bag is the one award that I've been nominated for, and I'm going to be getting ready for our little virtual ceremony at the beginning of November, and I'm going to be practicing my losing face because I'm up against some giants, so I'm just going to be like, cool.
No, don't think that. Positive mind, positive outcome.
I'm just happy to be there. I really am.
Oh, bless you. But yeah, well, I've got everything that you need to know about Elle in this chat. I think there's probably loads of stuff we could have talked about, to be fair. Lots of stuff I could have picked apart from you. But I feel like I've done a number on you. I'm sorry.
No, it's been great. It's flown by. Like I said, if you have any more questions, I'm always around.
Oh yeah, I always forget to look at the time. It's like already been an hour and a half. I can never do a full hour. I always say this to the authors: I'll do an hour, and then I'll not have much of your time, and it ends up being longer.
No, it's been great.
Those are the best kinds of interviews, if you ask me.
It's like Graham of middle grade. Everyone relaxed, and it's just the best. It's the best place to get your interviews.
Thank you. We say the ambulance is like, yes. Graham Norton of middle grade. I love that. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. It has been a really great chat. Thank you to everyone who left your really nice comments. Don't stop there. Do bombard Elle on Twitter as well. I mean, I'm not trying to make you cry, Elle, but I feel like
I'm
positivity. Well, yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Do you want to say anything to the viewers before we go, Elle?
Oh, just thank you for being here. And if you've been one of the people that's been here from the beginning, I owe you so much. And I'll never repay it. My acknowledgements in my next book are going to be long.
5 pages at least.
Yeah.
Well, that's the end, guys. Thank you so much. And I will get the CCs done. It might just take me about a week because YouTube are rubbish.
Oh.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It needs to be done, so it's fine. Bye, everyone.
Bye.